It's funny, like yesterday I went to watch Stree, right? But the funny
Oh,
part is that there was like there's a house nearby.
with whom?
I'll say that later, but there's a house nearby. Okay, like in our
Okay.
road, and there's like people say that it is
It's
kind of
haunted.
haunted, and like you get like screeching noises sometimes in the night. Even though I think it's just rats, because
Hmm.
there are in these streets, like you see rats like running around everywhere like that. But they were like there are actually some ghosts and stuff like that, and they were like we should call someone, and I'm like we should just get the crew of three because that's the topic for today. Today we're
What
discussing.
the?
Welcome everyone to a
Bro,
brand new
you
episode
chingada.
of the Geek Life podcast. Today we are discussing the Maddock Cinematic Universe. That's right, the Ghostbusters Cinematic Universe from India.
Nah, you cheated me, bro. Nah, that's not fair. You don't get to do. You. I thought we were like. I didn't realize we were recording. I was so invested. Ki, where is it going? I didn't even like. Oh God. Okay. Whatever.
So
Good one. Good
today
one.
we're doing something a little different. We know cinematic universes are all the rage nowadays. And that has trickled on to India as well. We have the spy universe, we have the cop universe. But today we're going to talk about probably the most exciting one that has come out, and it has come out of nowhere. And the best part is doing something that Hollywood is probably not doing at the moment. It's taking this Ghostbuster concept, kind of, it's mixing it with Indian folklore and bringing it to modern times. And, there's a lot of black magic, ghost, horror stuff, but, it all comes out really well. And it goes with the horror comedy genre, and that is the Maddock Cinematic Universe. We have three movies. 3 to 4, like whatever, like we'll get to the count, we'll get to everything. But before we do that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and also check out our Instagram. Even though there's nothing much there, I
Wait,
have
no
not
uploads.
no uploads in Instagram, so unfortunately
They've been slacking off, huh?
been stacking off a lot.
Yeah. Like
we
I'm holding you accountable. Like I contribute anything.
No, you contribute a lot. Like just your reactions at the start, how I get you every week is enough for me.
Nah, no, that I am still pissed. At least in the earlier episode, I was aware कि oh, bit you are gonna do a bit, but this time I was like, nah, man, it's fine. It's fine. I'm good. I'm good. Okay, okay, yeah.
So we'll give a brief rundown of what the cinematic universe is about, and we'll probably discuss our favorites, and then we'll close the episode. We'll also read the comments from last week's episode. We got a lot of love, I want to say, at least from a few people.
Oh,
So thanks you for posting comments, and be sure to post comments in this one as well. Have you seen this? Have you seen the Maddock Cinematic? It feels weird calling it Maddock. Like I wish it had a different name, but have you seen
just
any of these
maybe we,
movies?
yeah, we
Uh,
can
what are,
just
what are your
three universe.
thoughts? What are your thoughts? Do you have any theories of how this should continue and whatever? So we're talking about this movie because the latest entrant of this universe just released. That is 3-2, and it's a big hit. Both of us have already seen it. Gee, you have
Yes.
seen? Yeah, both of us have already seen it.
That very rarely happens these days. Like, we both watched the Indian movie.
A new movie that came out. Like usually it's
Yeah.
like Jay would have watched it, I haven't watched it. I would have
Yeah.
watched it, but Jay would have watched it. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's it. We'll jump right into it. So it all started with the first movie, that is Three, which takes place in a very small village, and there is this. Horror entity, a supernatural entity that is actually kidnapping men off the streets, and it's leaving the man's clothes behind. And it's like it has a very good social commentary on many things,
Yes, that's the
especially
underrated part of it.
relevant in India right now. And that's a very underrated part, and that's something which I think maybe the other movies don't have as much, because I think Stree 1 is really special. And
Hmm.
but in many ways, I think it mixes those very important topics with a lot of comedy and a lot of horror, and it
Yeah.
gives together a product which is really fascinating. Like, if you guys have not watched any of these movies, also it's fine, but do give 3-1 a shot, because I think that's worth. That's kind of like the Iron Man of this universe. Like it
Yeah,
just
yeah,
started it
definitely.
off. Yeah, but go ahead with your thoughts, Jay.
For me, 3-1 is always iconic because, like, as I was saying yesterday, it's a movie for the boys,
Yeah.
because it very rarely happens where you get to go with your like friends in the theater and just have a blast watching it, because it's like it is so full of pop culture references
Yeah.
which you get to hear nowadays, and it just has the perfect chemistry, I would say. When in movies they try to artificially create like a boy group or just a friend group in general, they like have these like regular cliches, but here it feels so natural because of the chemistry among the actors are so off the charts. And just like you said, the underrated aspect of it is like the social commentary, which even in sequel I would say they have maintained it to an extent,
Yes.
and that's
Yeah.
actually very. I love the thing about that, which I love now, is like it's not taking over the whole plot and just preaching. Because when you're preaching directly to the audience, now audience are, even if you're saying the right thing, then they will feel like, oh, what's the need of it? We are just here to have fun. But they present it in a way now, whereas like it's there, and if people are noticing it, oh, they're like, oh, and it's
Yeah.
very in subtext, it's there at sometimes, especially in the sequel, which I really like.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the first one, I had a blast watching it, and same with the sequel, bro.
Like
I was
for
like,
dude, I mean, like it has a very big star cast, and like you have Rajkumar Rao, you have Shraddha Kapoor, but dude, Rajkumar Rao just takes the cake every time. Like, dude, his comic timing is like so good. Like, and that goes to the friend group as well, like to the both the friends
my
as well.
favorite is Pankaj Tripathi's
Oh man,
character.
Pangashu.
Bro, he's like, imagine among a cast like who's full of such talented people, especially in terms of comedy arena, because you have Apar Shakti Khurana, then Abhishek
Yeah, yeah.
Banerjee, and like he really good with like punchlines and everything. But then every time Pankaj Tripathi comes, you're like, oh man, this is the guy.
Yes.
This is where I want to focus right now.
But comparisons keep coming with like you can't really think of a Hollywood equivalent. The only thing I could think of is Ghostbusters, because Ghostbusters also, but Ghostbusters really leans into the science fiction kind of part into it. Like you have these four, but even this, you have a group of people and they are sort of entrusted with protecting the village, and Ghostbusters is like they are protecting the city against these ghosts, and we have the similar thing. But I found this like they sort of adapted it very well to the Indian culture, so that you don't feel like, oh, it's a very foreign culture or foreign concept. Like I think they took some influences from like maybe the story structure and stuff like that, but they sort of put it into like an Indian sort of how to say Indian culture sort of
And
slide.
that's yes, and that's exactly where I was like enjoying it more, because like, see, we can try to do a replica of like what Hollywood tried to did with like the Conjuring universe and all that, but
Yeah.
just like unfortunately, in terms of horror aspect, now we cannot get there for some reason. People have
Right.
tried, but it's like not yet successful. Maybe someday in the future. But with this, na, it's like you said in the beginning, it's like Indian folklore, and you can connect with it more because
Yes.
at some point of in life you have heard stories and here and there. So that's why it's more fun to get behind it, and it's like, oh yeah, of course we have people like this in a
Yeah.
society. We have, it's like it's so good. It's like I'm very happy because like this is one of the type of movie which doesn't have a like a A-lister per se, but it brings the masses because of the
Yeah.
content, and the especially Bollywood has been missing it for a really long time.
Really, really. Like this was like after a long time, I was excited to watch a movie. Stree 2. Like
Yes,
I
and
know we're talking about the first one, but I'm just jumping to the
huh,
second one. I think we'll
yeah,
probably cover the Stree franchise before we jump. No, I think it's better we do Stree 2 afterwards because of the
yes,
crossover
let's
stuff.
keep
Yeah,
the.
yeah. Let's go
We need
crossover.
engagement.
No, honestly.
No, I don't know, man. I've heard that that's what you do. Like put the main thing in the thumbnail is like if people will, oh, where is the main selling point? It's like it's towards the end, guys. It's towards the end.
But
My
I,
bad, my bad.
but like when you say about Indian folklore and everything, I think there is still a very global attraction element to it. Like
Yes,
I can
definitely.
definitely see anyone sort of connecting with these stories, like even the folklore stories, because like they go very like ancient, and the way they narrate those stories, and I think kudos to the writers and the filmmakers involved, because the way they present the story, they don't like bore you. They like
Huh.
the way they present it is like in a very fun way where you sort of connect with the ghosts and stuff like that. You're like, okay, you understand why the hauntings are happening and stuff like that. So
Yes.
I think
The lore is actually pretty interesting, I didn't realize, because like in the sequel, that's what I was really enjoying in the first half, because
right.
oh, I wonder how it all connects, and like even when we are talking about the whole franchise, what I really like I know it's not much of a standard here, but it's like the way they interconnected these stories, now it feels very natural and doesn't every sort of appearance or reference makes a point, and
Yeah.
just connects everything very beautifully. So it's like that was really nice to watch.
So, before we jump into Stree 2, I want you to talk about Bhediya because that was like another important sort of. It's like the Captain America. Like, I don't know why I'm saying these comparisons. It makes no sense.
No, but in a way that's
Like the
sort of
structurally
true.
of where it is in the
Yeah.
universe. Like,
Yeah, because it's like how we established three as like an Iron Man,
yeah,
so it's like it makes sense to do the. So Bhediya was like a really nice attempt again. So it's a social commentary as well in terms of like if you have to save nature, forests, and all that, and the people living in the forest. Like sorry, did I say people? I mean like the animals
animals.
living in the forest, and the tribes are also there,
Right,
I
right,
assume.
right, right.
Yeah, so they are living there, and with the construction and all the development going around, they have to be displaced, and where do they go? It's a really nice touch on that, but that's where it's like we were discussing about Sri, like he's like the commentary is in the undertone, like it's not very
Right, right,
obvious, like,
right,
but
right.
Bhediya it sort of takes over. But I really respect the effort which they pulled in, because it's like it's not every day you get to see like a. I the first was very surprised by the VFX of the the Bhediya itself, because
Yeah.
that looked really
So
good
Bhediya
in
is like werewolf, like no
yeah,
wolf,
yeah,
like not
wolf,
wolf,
yeah,
right?
wolf. No,
Wolf,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, correct, bull.
So
So
like I think
that
that's
was
very interesting turn. Like where you will go from a Ghostbusters, magic fighting
very
team to like
yeah,
a
mystical
wolf,
beast.
yeah, mystical beast, and you sort of team them up. Like that's a
Yeah,
very
and
interesting sort of thing. Yeah.
that is because you don't expect these things to go hand in hand for some reason.
Right.
And that's where I really like your they are pushing boundaries. They could go like they could go safe, and like, oh, let's try to do something similar,
Right.
like Sri, but they have a very strict vision in terms of what they wanted to do with Bhediya, and they like in some areas they succeeded, because of course it's their first attempt, so
Yeah.
there's going to be some hiccups along the way. But yeah, I really loved how they connected. Even the cameo in Bhediya is like really good, and
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, it was just
yeah.
a
Actually,
really
it
nice
is
touch.
the most well-connected universe we have.
Yes, yes. And
Like,
again, unfortunately, we don't. It's not much of a standard because of how, like,
yeah,
especially
like we so far see in Tamil we have the Lokesh Cinematic Universe,
yeah,
with this Vikram Kaiti and stuff like that. That's but I feel like the cinematic connection still has not come out yet. Like we just got
yeah,
like few hints here and there. But if you look at the and Spy Universe, you feel like the cameos so far are just played out for like applauses and
yeah, yeah.
just to get that big
Go
theatrical
to and
moment. Like it
get
doesn't do anything with the story, but here you feel like there
yeah.
is that connection, there is that big theatrical moment also, but the characters are intervened very well. Like you
Yeah,
have one supporting cast being actually a supporting cast in the other movie as well, and coming all together.
yeah. And they're like the in the post credit scene of Bhediya, like they connect directly with the Stree mid portion of it when
Right,
Abhishek
right.
Banerjee came, and I was like, yeah, oh, they actually put a scene, like a proper scene, which is there in Sri 2 in Bhediya to connect
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Usually it's like like the extra footage. It's like,
Right,
oh,
right, right,
behind the
right.
scene between these two movies, this happened. So I
Yeah.
was really surprised. Oh, that's very cool. We should, that's that, like you were
You
saying.
feel like some thought is actually put in. Like they're like,
Yeah,
okay, how do we like?
that and I was very, very happy with it. I know it's
Yeah,
not a lot, like, oh, something revolutionary, but it was really nice to see,
right.
they actually planned it from, like, of course, when you're trying to create a universe, you plan it from the beginning, or at least have a basic idea where the characters and the story and go. But yeah, it was really nice to see that.
And I think then you also had Munjiya about like so this is like a very like the universe itself, like you have a ghost busting black magic fighting team
Yeah.
on one side, then you have a wolf on the other side, and then you have a tree spirit in the third side, and like we got to see a little bit of an amalgamation of at least two of those things in Stree 2, where I don't want to
Yeah.
spoil it too much because it just came out like what 4 days back, but like you got to see a little bit of an amalgamation of that, like a little bit of a crossover, and I think that was really worth it. Like you felt like it was structured very well, and and even
Yeah.
Munjiya did very well, like in the box office, and even the story about, I thought even that has like some social commentary and everything, which I thought was pretty interesting. So
And
that's
I
yeah.
think they actually got successful with it. It's like they at least had the people talking about these movies in some form or another. Because like Munjiya released this year, right? And usually it's a very small movie with no like
Yeah, yeah.
any recognizable actors, and it's sort of but. It's sort of like
Sleeper. It was like a
relatively,
sleeper hit.
yeah, it
Like
was
it
a
just
sleeper
came.
hit,
Yeah.
and people were interested to see. Oh, I wonder how they executed it, and you don't get to hear that often. And kudos to the makers; they have managed to done that for all their movies. Three, Bhediya, and
So
now
even
Munjiya.
Stree was a sleeper hit, kind because
Yeah,
when it came
yes,
out, no
yes,
one was talking about it that much. Then it sort of
yes,
word of mouth grew and it became.
yeah,
It's like very like the more I think about it, like in terms of the financial, it reminds me a lot of the MCU, like of
yes,
how when
yes,
it
yes, yes.
first launched, you just
Initial
had
phases. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
like you just had Iron Man, and then word of mouth grew, and then that Iron Man franchise itself became a big thing, and same like this three franchise has become a big thing and stuff like that. So I think it's wonderful that we at least have one cinematic universe right now that is sort of going really well, and
Yeah.
potentially there are some, like I said, the LCU looks fun, like it could become something cool, and there are some others which are looking interesting, but nothing has
Yes.
come out, like at least to my knowledge. I could be wrong, or I can't think of anything right now which
Yeah.
has
I
sort
mean,
of matched. Yeah.
among all the universe which we had, now this is the one I'm really looking forward to
Yes.
because like now queuing into like Stree 2, I had expectation because I really, really, really enjoyed the first one in the theaters. So I was like a little nervous as well, because the times we are living in, the sequels are mostly for like money
Yeah.
making
Just
purposes, and
money.
it's
Yeah.
like yeah. But here I was like, okay, please, please, don't ruin it. I was really worried about the jokes because the humor these days have been pretty
Yeah.
awful to say the least. But here I was like, hey, bro, I had such a great time watching it in the house full theaters, and where people were just understanding all the references and they were laughing. It was such
Yeah.
a magical experience. That's one of the reasons why I love to watch movies in theaters with people, because
Especially
those
these
are
kinds of movies. Like this is
yeah,
like perfect theatrical one.
exactly. And the seeing the boys work together and Pankaj Tripathi on top of
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
just such a blessing. Yeah.
If
That
you
itself is
guys
worth the money.
have not checked out the Maddock Cinematic Universe, in spite of Jay's and mine's glowing recommendation, what
Yes.
are you doing? I
Whatever.
mean, I'm sure you guys are busy. Like it's okay. Like,
Bro, I mean, yeah, sure.
but before we close the episode, I just want to go through last week's episode's comments, which I promised we would go through, and we had some really cool picks, and my phone is not connected while I'm pulling the comments. Great. There's going to be a delay, so in this delay, Jay is going to sing a rap, and yeah, Jay, you can go ahead and start the rap of what you were going to do. Yeah, go ahead. No, you can't do that. That's only for corporate, not for podcast. Oh, that's hilarious. We got a lot of comments from Nona. I think he really wanted to be a part of the episode. Unfortunately, I just like I didn't know he wanted to be a part of the episode.
There
So
are days where even we are not sure if we want to be part of.
So he was like commenting on the different matchups, like we did Singham Batman. So he was like, this gold stuff right here, stuff like that. And he was really impressed with the John Wick Iga crossover. Like that was kind of cool. Shelley Lee says that said this a million times, a mashup between the Justice League and the Brahmanch. But Deepika Padukone is Wonder Woman.
Oh. I mean, I could see Deepika as Wonder Woman, that's for sure.
That would be
Because
that.
she.
That's actually pretty cool. Like even though Brahmastra, like we are not getting any news on the second one, but still, I think this is a pretty cool idea. Like and Deepika as
And
Wonder
she's
Woman, like
definitely a better actress than Gal Gadot, so.
definitely agreed. That's
Like,
that is like you don't even have to debate it. Nona says Jadu is from Krypton. It's canon.
so.
Just trying to pull my leg, right? And then we had a comment by Abdul Jalil 4467 who says that Shazam and Shaktiman both with powers of the pagan gods, like both like Shaktiman and Shazam. Like I think that would be pretty cool, like because their power set levels would be like really OP. And
Yeah.
just I don't know if a full movie will work, but just like a 5-10 minute fight would be amazing.
And it's like a sort of compliments because like Shaktiman's character is sort of serious, like
Yeah,
moral values and all that. But whereas Shazam is still a kid, it's like yeah. And when you pair these two together, like an adult and a kid version of
yeah,
superhero, it's like sort of a mentor. I could see
right,
that. I
right.
could see that.
But yeah, that's it. The comments for last week's episode. If you have comments for this week's episode, be sure to hit that. Not hit. Write it down in the comment
Smash the
section.
subscribe button.
What
Destroy
you,
the
what do you guys think of those three Maddock Cinematic Universe? And what do you think about Stree 2 if you have watched it? And also, if you have any suggestions for episodes that we can do in the future, do let us know. And that's it from this week's episode. See you guys later. Keep geeking out.